Oh, hi there. I'm Mike Bledsoe, and this week on Barbell Shrugged, we're going to be talking about business. Welcome to Barbell Shrugged. I'm Mike Bledsoe here with Doug Larson, Chris Moore, and Rob Connor. You guys may have never heard the name Rob Connor.
He's an integral piece in the equation.
He is. You may have heard us reference our financial guy or CFO at certain times. This is the guy that I make angry on a daily basis.
This is the guy.
Absolutely.
If you ever got an email from a guy named Rob that said, "Hey, we need new credit card information," and he didn't explain who he was,
That's him.
I have a tagline. I have a signature
and
line.
you just deleted that email, that was a legit email. It came from Rob.
We'll try to do better next time.
Legit in that it came from us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Didn't come from Africa.
Yeah, so Rob is here because, well, he's our friend for one. And the other reason is we're going to be talking about how to open a CrossFit gym. And I don't think everyone knows this, but Rob and I opened up CrossFit Memphis together back in 2007.
Seems like such a long
Yeah, it was
time
2007.
Mm-hmm.
In a former life.
In a former life, yes.
Definitely.
So a lot
Started in Rob's garage, right?
Absolutely.
Or your
Carport.
carport.
I didn't even have a garage.
Yeah.
Outside.
Carport.
It was cold and hot. And
Was that when the first decision was
Same
made?
time.
Like, we should open a gym together. Yeah, dude. High five.
something like that. We'll get into the reasons we opened up the facility as the show progresses. But first, I would like to talk about some things that are coming up. If you didn't already know, the Muscle Gain Challenge for this quarter is sold out. If you're interested in the Muscle Gain program, make sure to go to barbellshrugged.com, click on the Muscle Gain Challenge thing.
We made that easy.
Tab.
It's muscle.barbellshrug.com.
Okay, go there and put your name, your email, your name and email in there, and then we'll let you know when the next one's coming up so you can be prepared. Which will be, that next one launches in October, but you'll be able to sign up in September.
I think September 3rd was the day that I put for registration to open, and then it starts October 7th or 8th, whatever that Monday is.
Yeah. The latest thing we've got in the Barbell Shrugged store is the Zach Critch weightlifting seminar. If you don't know, Zach Critch is a national champion in the sport of Olympic weightlifting, and he came to Memphis to hang out with us. He and his wife, Sarah, did a pretty great seminar, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. We already had a lot of people buy it, and we've got really good testimonials that already people are happy.
It's always a good thing to make people happy. I brought a product and it changed my life forever. The world is brighter. The sun shines brighter because I bought this weightlifting seminar. Good for you.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. I got to keep my job on the show. I don't know the fancy money stuff, and I ain't no CEO or chief operating officer, but my role here is to make Bledsoe and everybody just feel good. Just to feel good. To say a dick joke and make everybody feel good.
Chris makes me smile every day.
What more important job could I have?
Not much more important than that, I don't
That's
think.
my only point.
The last thing I'm going to promote real quick is the Faction Fundamentals Blueprint. That's one reason we're doing this podcast, is just kind of let you guys know about that as well. What we've done is we took what we do at Faction Strength Conditioning, home of CrossFit Memphis. We took basically how we get people in the door, how we market to people out there, how we get them in the door. Once they get in and start doing our fundamentals course, how we develop our membership with them, how we sell them, basically the whole process. And Doug is primarily responsible for that. You want to talk about that real quick? Just real quick plug on that.
Real quick. Two breaths.
Do it in a sentence or two. No, I'm just kidding.
Basically, we took that whole system and we packaged it up, and we're giving it away as something that you can implement immediately without really having to do a whole lot of work yourself. So for the fundamentals course, we run a 4-week fundamentals course. It's 3 days a week for 4 weeks, so there's 12 sessions. And basically what we did was I taught the entire 12-session course, and we recorded the whole thing. And then we also edited videos together of me coaching it live, and then me standing there explaining why we do it the way that we do. And we have coaches handouts, we have athlete handouts for the workouts and for the nutrition talk for every single day. So I show you the template, I show you the order to go in, I provide checklists. Like, it's a completely done for you program where you can pick it up, read through it and just follow the instructions step by step. And then if you're a coach or a gym owner rather, it's very nice because you can then delegate that to your other coaches, and then it's easy to scale your gym because you don't have to be the one doing every single thing, and it just runs on repeat every single month.
Yeah.
So that's all put together. In addition to that,
which I think this is the best part coming up.
Go. Oh my God, which part?
Don't build the audience.
Putting pressure on me.
The thing you're about to talk about next is the best part, in my opinion.
Well, how do you know what he's going to talk about?
Yeah, how do you know?
Because there's one thing he hasn't talked about yet.
Oh, well, let's see.
I'm not sure what he's getting at. Maybe the email stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as part of that, we put together an email marketing campaign, and so we provide all the template emails that we use to follow up with our clients. That way, you don't have to sit there and type out the same exact email for every question that you get every week. We provide all the template emails, and then we also provide, you guys probably get a lot of emails from us. A lot of those are automated, and most people are well aware of that. Some people don't know they're automated. They think that I email them every day, but I totally don't.
Yes,
but I love you anyway. And we provide those email systems where if you sign up to hear about the gym and whatnot on the website, you get a series of automated emails to tell you about the gym. And then when you come in and you've actually been in the gym, then you get on a new list, and it kind of tells you more relevant information. When you're a member, again, we put you on a new list, and again, autoresponder gives you more relevant information to being a member. And then if you end up canceling your membership down the line, you're on a new list, and it sends you follow-up information as a past member. So
and no one ever leaves the list.
No one ever leaves
the
list.
You will die before leaving that list.
That's true.
Yeah,
you can opt out at any time.
Yeah, you can unsubscribe at any time.
That's
if
what you say
if
to
you
them.
don't have an unsubscribe option in your emails, then you have messed up. You're probably going to be on blacklisted on the internet, and no one's going to get your emails because it's going to end up in their spam.
Right.
In their spam folders.
So it's not the only way we follow up with people. The benefit there really is that I can give you a little 10-letter piece of code, and it'll enter all those lists into your email thing for you. And so I can put like 100 emails in place, and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you don't even have to copy and paste a lot of this stuff. I mean, it is done. You just got to take your gym name, insert, and it's done. That's why I think that's the most beautiful part of that whole thing.
It's the closest thing to a magic bullet I've ever created.
Yeah, it's...
If you screw that up, you're an idiot.
It is done.
There's no way to screw
You're
up.
a dum-dum, and you shouldn't be running a business.
It is done for you. The thing is like, there's a lot of people who do gym business consultations and stuff, and they will tell you to do that thing, which we can tell you how to do it right here, right now, and we probably will. But the magic is in, like, it's done for you. I don't know anyone who's doing it for you. So this is pretty
That's
awesome.
where the magic is.
It
When
is.
everybody does your work for you, that's magic.
Yeah, buy it done. Why not?
How many years did
Well,
this
why
take?
not? Why would you spend 3 years, tooling around and doing trial and error? The cost of that product will repeat, 20 times over, and that cost in terms of the failed opportunities you faced.
And Doug, how long did it take you to write those emails? Like, this isn't just like, oh, I sat down 1 month and I decided to write these emails.
No, I mean, they were developed over years.
Yeah, so this is stuff that's worked for our business.
Yeah, I tried things that didn't work. I tweaked and refined and perfected and changed and switched things out. And then over time, we got to where we want it to be. And now it's just all packaged up, and we're making it available.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for that quick summary of that product.
It was so quick.
It was like 8 minutes long. Sorry about that, folks.
That's like half the stuff that's in that product.
This is what happens. This is what happens when we let Doug talk. He just goes on
See,
and on
I was. Can I say? I was really respectful during that.
You did a good job, Chris.
I didn't say hardly anything.
He didn't interrupt us
Mike,
at all.
did you say that when we let Doug talk, he just goes on and on?
Yeah.
As opposed to Mike?
That's why it's a joke.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Okay, you have a nickname that means like yappy bitch in Portuguese.
That's right. Matraca. It means chatterbox.
It means chatterbox in Portuguese.
That's what they told you.
In case you were wondering.
Hello to Adriano Nassau if he's listening.
He's not.
This is all.
Yeah, he's not listening.
He
to this.
doesn't. He still has a phone that has buttons on
Why
it.
would I listen to your podcast? I can practice my jiu-jitsu.
All right, so yeah, we're going to talk today. The primary role of this podcast today is to
Loosen up, man.
teach you how
primary
to
role of this podcast.
primary role.
Just because we're talking business doesn't mean you got to be all uptight, baby.
I strung a bunch of words together. Don't make any sense.
Sound like Russell Brand.
We just congratulated him about not interrupting, and then boom, he was in there.
But we're going to be talking about how to open a CrossFit gym. We're going to talk about the mistakes we made. And Rob will hopefully have some input here. I think he will.
Rob's good at making mistakes.
He's nervous. I can tell
First
he's nervous, but he's his first time talking into a sock microphone. I promise you, we plan to upgrade our microphone stands with new mic stands plus pop filters.
Now, yeah.
And we won't have socks to talk into.
Now you understand just why we were requesting this spin.
Actually, we brought Rob on this podcast specifically to talk into the socks, so he understands why I need to buy new pop filters.
Exactly.
He's like, this is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's working.
Rob okays all of our expenses, so.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about?
You just told us what we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
Let's go back.
So why is it important now? Like I think we got away with a lot of things when Rob and I first started because we were the only CrossFit in town. Not that there was a lot of interest, but like.
Yeah, it's certainly easier when you have a monopoly over the whole city.
Anybody who has any inkling of interest in it has to come try it at your place. That's a good advantage at the start. Those times are done. Like even in Memphis now, how many CrossFits are there? 8 or 7 or 8?
6, 7, 8.
Something like that. We're not saturated like some cities, but there's more competition now than when we started since there was zero.
Absolutely. And it's only going up. There'll be more.
Yeah, so we got away with a lot of things that we wouldn't get away with now. I mean, on the other hand, CrossFit's a much more known brand. So it's got more marketing power, whereas before, like, oh, we do CrossFit, and people are like, what the hell is that? And kind of had to explain it to them.
Now it's on ESPN.
High intensity stuff. But
hot chicks working out.
It's a good selling point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and I think it was probably, one of the things we talked about way back in the day was it's best to be first than best. But now you're not going to be first, so now you have to be best. So you missed that train if you're just now opening a gym.
Yeah.
You're probably aware of that. So now
I feel like the common story I hear when I get emails all the time say, hey, I want to open a gym. What should I do? And the story is always the same. I learned about CrossFit. It's very similar to people that start CrossFit. Like I learned about CrossFit a year and a half ago, and it changed my life. And now I really like fitness.
Right.
And I want to change other people's lives.
And I have no business experience at all. I have no marketing experience at all. And I have a year and a half of fitness experience only in the CrossFit world and absolutely nowhere else.
Right.
And so I'm going to quit my job and do this.
Exactly. and now
I don't think there's
6
anything
years
wrong
ago,
with that. But it's still you're probably more limited than you think you are.
Yeah, passion is good, but if you only have passion and no experience, then it's a rough battle when there's a lot of other competition in town. So
you'll be a passionate loser.
You'll be passionate and broke to start off with, and then if you survive, it's still going to be quite a fight.
Rob, so what was the reason for what was your motivation for opening the gym?
Me worked out at the Globo gym, made too much noise, and then Mike came home from the Navy, and we needed a place to work out.
Yeah.
So we did it. I had a job. I had some money.
Man, that was super specific.
Yeah, dang.
Well, that's an honest reflection of why most people start gyms.
Yeah,
it really was. It'd be cool.
It wasn't even for me. It wasn't even a gym in the beginning. It was a place for me to work out and Mike to work out.
And it was cool that it was a business that you were operating. So it's cool.
And it worked. It fit to with my business background, and then it as it transitioned to a business, it fit into my background.
Yeah, I think you actually have a business background, though.
Right?
So what is your business background, real quick?
With I got my undergrad in finance and then an MBA.
So you're more of a business guy.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's not that big of a stretch for you to
marketing
start
class.
a business.
Right.
Yeah, he took a marketing class.
He took a class once.
And then we had I had a little bit of money. I had my kind of my first job coming out of school, and I held the piece of plastic up and said, "Let's do it," and gave it to Mike.
I think
credit card.
Credit card.
Yeah.
Credit card.
I was like,
credit card.
So we had
I don't think Mike could even qualify for a credit card at this point.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, I was at the time I didn't have a job. I was in school and I was making $1,200 a month for my GI Bill.
Which is pretty good.
I was living off $1,200 a month at the time.
At the time when you're living off that, but I had like an $800 GA job. I mean, it's a good time to be broke and crazy.
Yeah.
But I can see your wild-eyed ass going into a bank going, you should give me money because I'm opening a gym. Breathing heavily through your mouth at the banker, trying to get money from somebody.
Well,
so good thing he was here.
I think it brings up a good point. Like, we just wanted a place to work out. We treated the business like a hobby in the beginning. I think a lot of people do that. I recognized that we were starting a business. You know, when we went from, we did buy all the stuff in the carport, and we're like, oh, we'll train some people in the carport. And that was actually hard to do. No one wants to go to someone's house to train, I don't think. And we were just training our girlfriends at the time. But
That's how you put it.
6 a.m. That's when you know you got a good girl. Is she'll meet you at your buddy's house at 6 a.m. to work out. But that's just my opinion. But, you know, we treat it as a hobby at first. When we decided, hey, we need to get out of this carport, like we started in the spring of 2007 and in the carport, and it was like as soon as we started doing that, I was thinking, well, when it gets to be winter, this is going to suck. We need to get indoors. And
Good thing you had natural business instinct.
I
What's cold out
I don't
here?
like
It's
to
gonna
be
suck, bro. We need a building.
Yeah. So I was like, let's take this to the next level. Let's get into like a big garage space. We can start looking. So what I did first was I went to Barnes and Noble or something like that, and I found this book. I went to the business section, and I found the book that looked the best to me on how to write a business plan. I was like, oh, I'll just put this business plan together. And then I don't, you know, it was one of those things where like, I don't even know why I'm putting a business plan together, but I know that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like if you're going to start an LLC and you want an LLC to protect you in case someone tries to sue you, so you can set up accounts and share things, and there's all sorts of reasons you'll do that. But like, you know, I just found this how to start a business book, and I followed the directions. Like step 1, do this, and so I wrote this business plan. I know that Rob and I went to a lawyer and sat down with him, and when we sat down with him, I was like, we got a business plan. He was like, oh shit, most people don't even do that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I mean, even though we were, at the time, I felt like I was treating it like a business, but looking back on it, I was like, I was not treating it like a business. I just knew I had to do these steps to have this hobby, and it had to be considered a business. Like, I think I already had the mentality at the time, like, turn your hobbies into a business so they're tax deductible. But
Genius.
I think some people call what you did playing business rather than doing business. You're just going through the process of what business people do,
Right.
rather than like
what else
actually
could
like
you-
finding out a way to make money.
yeah, that's very, very true.
Well, you did- you
I
took-
was doing what I knew I was supposed to do instead of having like that ingenuity and like trying to take something that I love and passion and turn it into a way to make money. Yeah, it was just a way to get what I wanted, really, which was a place to work out with my buddies.
Well, no, I think you did really all you could expect to do at the time, which is you identified something you thought you should do. It seemed most obvious at the time, but this is the right thing to do. I'll start by reading a book. You took action. You kept making steps, even though some of them might not be optimal, some of them might not be by the book and so smart in hindsight. You still arrived at where you're at today because you said, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to keep taking those steps, even though some of them might be bad. You did it. Taking action is a huge thing to be proud of looking back. You could be the guy who's like, I wish I could live my passion, man. I wish I could have some place to train. Oh, I could never do that. I don't have to read a book to do that. At least you fucking did some steps. You took action, man.
Yeah.
If most people just did that, they'll find a path eventually that leads them to where they need to go, and they can share their experience back to other people who'd like to repeat that.
Yeah, and there's 2 different types of business plans. There's one that you write for the potential investor, and that might be for the bank or for somebody who's going to buy into your business so you can get some cash. And then there's a second type of business plan, which is for you to look at and develop like how you want to move forward. And they're going to be 2 totally different things. And the business plan you're writing for the investor is not going to be nearly as sexy. But quick note on that is
How sexy is the other one?
you basically have to have something. You got to catch the potential investor on the first page of one of those for sure.
I would just draw neon dollar signs. Open that up and see neon dollar signs with like glitter all over. That's what I'm offering you.
That might work.
So what was the point where you decided, oh shit, I need to make this a business. This cannot be a hobby or I won't survive. Because you had a building and you were getting GI money, so you had rent and you had some type of income, but not very much from the government, basically.
We had enough income to cover rent and utilities most of the time, but anytime an unexpected expense popped up,
which is every month.
there was a
Piece of plastic. Thank God for a piece of plastic.
There was phone calls between me and Rob. I was like, Rob,
I remember
Rob,
several meetings.
We gotta fucking do something. I
We would
remember
meet at
taking money, like I was making only $1,200 a month with GI Bill, and I was taking that money, putting in the business, and then paying myself back like afterwards. having to get money from Rob. I mean, we were both like, taking personal money and pumping it in.
Yeah, I remember several meetings where we met in a parking lot in between the gym and where I was working, so I could write a check.
Yeah.
And then Mike would take it and take care of it.
Yeah.
So
It's like
I'll spend this for you.
we're $300 short this month.
Rob
It's
was the bank for a while.
yeah,
Yeah,
really.
it's like I'm $300 short this month on bills, and I would say I did not write myself a check from the gym, and I'm really bad about this. This is my personality type. Is even if a business is making money, I want to spend it on the business. I don't want to write myself a check. So I'm really bad about paying myself a salary. So I probably could have paid myself earlier than I actually did, but I like living on bare minimum.
You're rustic.
I don't know why. Something's wrong with me.
If you've never had a lot of money, you don't know anything's wrong.
Yeah, it's
Right,
easy.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's why you need to take these risks while you're a college kid who doesn't know any better. And
That's true.
suffering is
Yeah,
what comes
you
natural.
still were in college.
Used to being poor, yeah. Well, I mean, it was interesting because when I was in the Navy, I had a decent income, and I got out, and I spent, 3 years in college being poor as hell. So
Yeah.
there's a recalibration there. But yeah, I was very used to being poor. But it's about the 1.5 year mark, and when I kind of switched from like, this is a hobby to a business, and the biggest change was my GI Bill money was gone. The biggest change was necessity. I went from I was in school. I was like, well, I'll just stay in school as long as I can. That way I can still get that GI Bill money. But I was in grad school, and it was very, very obvious that I could not run the gym well and do well in school at the same time. I was like, well, I can always go back to school, but I can't let this business fail. So I quit that. And then I quit school and then just focused on the gym. And that was like the first change. That's where I started treating things more of a business. And then when you came home, so Doug and I trained together in college, and he was there when the gym opened up and all that kind of stuff, but he wasn't a business partner from the get-go. But he went to Australia for like 5 months, then returned. And I knew that, and I wanted Doug to be a part of the business. And this was kind of around the same time I was like, things were clicking for me. Like, I need to like make money, and I can't do it on my own because I have a lot of holes in my game. I'm not very good at a lot of different things, but Doug is really good at these other things. So I remember when you came home, you were in the Army.
Yeah, I was
you were
gone.
You were overseas. You were on deployment, and I basically.
Protecting America.
That's right.
Doug was like, well, I want to own my own business, and he was going to hang around and help out a little bit, but he wasn't planning on sticking around. So I got Doug to stick around by giving him a piece of the business. So
I thought it was a hand job.
that too.
Figurative. It was a figurative.
We
That
were
was
going to
basically-
leave that part out.
That
But
was basically the handshake,
yeah.
Like, so X% of the business, I'll be buying you your first Lamborghini. That's all good, but what else you gonna give me?
Yeah, and Doug was actually really good. Doug filled a lot of holes in that. He's very detail oriented. He likes spreadsheets. He likes tracking. He likes collecting data and then putting it in spreadsheets and making really cool looking graphs and bar graphs
With
and
pretty colors.
By the way, I despise pie charts. Don't give me a pie chart. Bar graphs only. And no.
Yeah, me and Rob do all the reporting.
Yeah. Rob did a really good job. We kind of it's one of those things where we kind of fell in our roles by accident. I don't think I wasn't like sitting in bed one night going, oh my God, Doug will fill these roles. Rob will get these, and I'll do these, and it'll be a good triad. We just lucked out. We all have to be
really lucked out.
Synergy.
Yeah,
That's what we call it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it is. Like you
Yeah.
kind of automatically fell into the role of a CEO, and that's just how you are. That's just your whole personality. My personality as a systems based person that likes that likes numbers, I fell into the COO role, and then you got your business and finance background. It's just obvious that you should be the CFO, and so having all three of those roles fulfilled makes the team very strong.
And then Chris Moore was there. fulfilling
Chris
the
was there to make us laugh the whole time.
CGO, right?
CGO.
Chief
Well,
Comedy Officer.
Well, I was just thinking about we all hang out naturally because, like, if everybody was like you, like the four other people would get aggravated with you sometime. I don't think it would naturally
just beat
occur
the
to
shit
you.
out of each other.
I wouldn't hang
I don't
out
think
with
it would naturally occur to you to open up a business with anybody who was not complimentary because you feel naturally that these people around you compliment you and make you better. and fill in gaps and make you see things differently. That's why you're close friends. That's why it's natural and organic for you to start a venture with them, because you have that relationship already in place.
Yeah.
It was subconscious, but like I wouldn't get together with somebody just like me to do much of anything, because we couldn't tolerate each other's presence.
Well,
It'd
it's
be too
funny.
much of that thing.
What's interesting is I run into a lot of that, though. I talk to people who do team up with people who are just like them. So this is your first pearl nugget of the show, is find partners who are complementary, not people who
People don't agree with you
are
all the
just
time.
like you.
Yeah.
No, we disagree all the time.
Like you need to
We don't
you need to
fight.
rub,
We have drastically different styles. So
We don't fight,
We
but
definitely disagree. But
you have to rub up against somebody, and that friction lets the real good ideas actually survive.
That's how you start a fire.
A business fire, a money fire.
like we always joke that like if it was just him, he'd do all kinds of cool shit, but he'd be broke and we'd go out of business immediately. And if it was just me, everything would be perfect and organized, but it'd be boring as shit all the time because I only want to do like the same thing that works but isn't very exciting. So having a creative person and an organized person together is kind of that perfect synergy. It's the Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak. It's the Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger. Like all these like big famous billionaire pairs are always one creative and one organized person together, and that works very
People
well.
forget like Steve Jobs really didn't know. He obviously understood computers, but he wasn't the guy who could make a computer work.
Well, he didn't know how to program.
Didn't know any of that
He
stuff.
needed Woz
Woz
to
was
help him.
Woz was a
but
fucking
Woz needed him
maniac
too.
genius. Yeah, who never would have done anything on his own.
No, like it's the two people together that fill the gaps, like you were saying earlier.
It takes two
So-
to tango.
Yes,
That's another pearl, whatever that means.
and then someone to count the money. That's what Rob does.
Yes.
Rob just swims in money all day. You're like the Donald Duck or not Donald Duck. What's the duck
Donald
character
Duck's
that
uncle.
swims in the money?
Moneybag duck.
From
DuckTales.
DuckTales.
Yeah.
He's got one of those in his backyard
And
every morning.
we've said that. That's unfortunately that's what people. You mentioned this yesterday, I think, Doug. People when they think you own a business, you charge this month for your CrossFit classes a month, like this much. You must be rolling. You must be money-bag swimming in money guy.
Yeah.
I was talking about that
And
the
you
other
go,
day. It's
that's
like,
what you don't understand about business.
people
Right.
are like, oh, how many members do you have? How much do you charge? And they start doing the math, but they fail to realize that it costs $35,000 to run your gym.
Yeah.
Every month towards
Every month,
expenses.
yeah.
And we make less money than 99% of our members. Easily.
Probably.
Well, that's where the money hits the money surface. That's what you got to expect.
Oh no.
What is he talking about?
No,
We need to make
I was
a
gonna say,
shirt
like,
that says that.
Yeah, all people see when they first start CrossFit is how much it costs a month, but you don't realize, okay, there's this facility, there's a limited amount of people, like 1/10 the people who are in your local Globo gym.
Yeah.
Everybody's dedicated, but the money to make it real has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, you're not. The members who are active aren't being subsidized by the people who aren't showing up.
Exactly.
Most people are showing up for
Yeah,
sure.
that's why it's expensive. Like your coaches aren't rich driving around in Lamborghinis calling you a sucker for buying into the cult. No, it's just what it takes to make it real.
Yeah.
It's what it takes to make it real, and to have people
It's
who
true.
are educated teach you, because they need money to survive.
Yeah. We don't make a ton of money, but it is a very good lifestyle.
you do get what you pay for. That's for sure.
Was that your whole point?
We're done. We're done. The podcast is over.
Don't you want to go out and start your own business now?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I want to talk about what makes a good business. Some of the changes that were made. I would say, Rob, what would you say the best thing we ever did was?
No pressure.
Like the biggest change. Like people ask me this all the time. Like, what's the one thing you did in like the last 6 years of being in business that you felt was kind of changed the game? What made things
Like a tipping point?
the biggest difference?
Yeah, for us,
CTP. Go ahead and say it, Rob.
Hiring CTP.
that too.
That
And
was a
David,
good moment.
And
I'll
David.
throw one out to David. Definitely doing the contracts, and you brought on ASF, right?
Yeah.
What is that?
And that's our billing company.
Hmm.
They really helped out. But doing the contracts, I mean, in
Yeah.
the beginning, we didn't charge membership for a few months, and then it was absurdly low. And then we kind of hit that tipping point where, oh, this is a business now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to have to run it like a business. And not every member can be our friend. And we'll just have to keep track of everybody and try to take it out of our hands as much as possible, so we don't look like bad guys and run it like a business.
Yeah. Yeah. Bringing on a third-party billing company that can automatically draft your payments each month is huge. You do not want to be the person that has to like go up to 100 people every month, like, hey, you got that check for this month, and then your friend's like, oh yeah, I meant to bring it.
You're already in a tough
I'll
situation.
bring it back to you. I'll be here Tuesday, I think. I'll bring it then.
Can't
then
tolerate
they
anything.
forget, And like it's just a total hassle.
Dude,
so if you're not automating your billing, then you're probably stressed out all the time.
This is on like the far end of the spectrum, but I've heard of people who had just their members would drop off a check every month. I was just like,
How do you even do that?
Like we never did that. We actually went with a third party biller pretty early on because I didn't want to deal with that.
No,
but I would say the next best thing was contracts. Because when we went from month to month, we went into it with the mentality, well, if people really value what they're getting and we're doing a really good job, then, that's all it's going to take to keep our members, paying every month. Pretty much we were going month to month, which meant that even though we had a third-party biller doing that, they could cancel anytime they wanted. So they could train for a month, and you know what kind of results people get in a month. It's not going to be great. And, unless you're at Faction. But, no. But people could quit whenever they wanted. So, like, even if we made, $20,000 this month, that doesn't mean we're going to make $20,000 next month. It's just so, while we were doing it, I didn't feel like it was a big deal. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh,
it was ignorance is bliss situation.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we make money every month. It works out. You
were lucky.
Kind of. We were having to dip into our personal funds, but every once in a while. But then you actually, Doug, convinced me, like, hey, we need to do contracts. And I was actually opposed to it in the beginning. I was like, well, I was fearful that we weren't going to sell as many memberships because people were like, oh, I don't want to make that commitment. I felt like the sell came after they were a member for a little bit, which is true. But we actually have a way to make that work in our favor and still have contracts. So
some of that stuff's okay when it's just you by yourself. Like if it's just you by yourself, you got people going month to month. If they don't pay, then who cares? Like you won't make any money, and if you got to like sleep on the streets for a little while you get back on your feet, no big
it's
deal.
Your
but
suffering.
Yeah, it's just you. You know what I mean? If you're a single
sure.
guy, you don't have a family to worry about, you don't have any employees to take care of, then having zero stability in your business, if that's what you want, then that's no big deal. But if you have people that rely on you, and you have, like we have 6 or 7 employees of Faction, like they all count on that money being there that next month. And if everyone can cancel their membership next month and they don't have any signed agreement that's going to make them stay and pay their membership,
your whole business falls apart.
It could just fall apart, and you have to just cut all your people.
Their livelihood is my responsibility. And then the next month, if everyone
signs back up, then you got to be like, oh, well, now people are paying again. You want to come back? They're going to be like, no, fuck you. And they're not going to come back. Like, it offers no stability in your business. So if you want to have employees, you got to have contracts.
Yeah, when you're talking about your business, you're talking about your employees. I think it's a really good point.
You have a responsibility to do that.
You have a responsibility to your employees.
On you.
Yeah.
You're a creator.
And at Faction,
not a taker.
And at Faction, our employees aren't making billions of dollars or anything like that, but they also have like good health insurance and stuff like that. And I know not every CrossFit gym out there can say that they offer their employees health insurance.
We made that decision in the beginning to do salary to take care of our employees.
Yeah,
give them everything we could. And
yeah,
I really like that model.
And I guess you didn't do it until you were in a position to treat people the right way.
Exactly.
Which is
exactly
really cool.
right.
Like you did more work initially, so you didn't have to give people bad deals.
We put in the time coaching and taking care of it until we could take care of them.
That would have been impossible without a contract.
Yeah. And then another big one I liked that I believe was Doug's was, and I don't think a lot of CrossFit gyms do this even to this day, was we offered 3 membership options. And we had our little jars of jelly discussion the other day. But I really like that. I think that makes it. I'll let Doug will do it better because it was his story. But having the fewer options, it helps. All of us. It helps you to sell the membership. It gives them fewer options, and it takes some of that. Like this guy's got 2 days a month, membership 3 days a month. We had some of that in the beginning, and we were like, we've got to streamline this process.
Yeah, we had 2 days a week. We had 3 days a week at one point, and then we had unlimited memberships, and that's. If you're doing 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and unlimited, and you're doing 3 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, or whatever, once you look at the spreadsheet, you got 25 options, and now it's very hard to pick which one you want to do specifically. So
it complicates them.
The example I was using the other day that you were just referring to with the jelly or whatever was from Barry Schwartz's book, The Paradox of Choice. Basically, they were in a grocery store. They had 2 different groups. They had they had one stand that had 6 jars of jelly on it, and they were selling jelly. And then they had another stand that had 30 jars of jelly on it. And the people that came to the 30 jars of jelly took some free samples, bought significantly less jars than the people that went to the stand that had 6 jars of jelly. So it was less decision making and easier for them to choose which option to take, and so they bought more stuff. So at our place, we only offer 3 options. It makes it very easy for people to figure out which one they want, rather than offering 25 options. People get confused, and then by default, they just don't make a decision. They just go, I'll get back to you, and then you lose.
And
them.
you feel that every time you watch cable news, for example. And I heard Barry give the talk. He gave an example about buying jeans. It was like you go into most clothing stores. You go, okay, I need to buy a pair of jeans.
On his TED Talk?
Yeah, I need to buy a pair of jeans. You go, holy Christ! The examples of like over the top. There's 5 main structures, and then within that, there's all these conditions. Like some are antique, some are straight legs, some are dark, some are light.
Right,
like,
thick cut,
you can't
boot
just
cut.
decide. Yeah, and then the other great example was when Steve Jobs came back to Apple Computer and said, you offer 25 different versions of each computer. The product list is so long. They were thinking at the time that they were failing because they needed more products. And he said, what we're going to do is he just got up and draw that matrix. There's pro and consumer. There's a laptop and a desktop. We make nothing else. And he just destroyed everything else.
Yeah.
That decision saved the business.
As high quality as it can.
Yeah, and to bring that back around, talking about without contracts, people weren't going to see success or get the results they wanted. Coming 2 days a week, you're not really,
same thing.
You're not really helping them out at the end of the day. So that was another,
Yeah,
important
for sure.
piece of doing that.
Good thing. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, you want to go into a little bit of the stability numbers on how we define stability in our business? So
with base receivables versus expenses?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that Thomas Plummer talks about is having a ratio of, what is it? Sorry, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
5 to 1, I think.
I know, but 5 to 1 of...
Your
base receivables is the amount of money that people owe you in the future. So if you added up your contract, so if you sign an 18-month contract, $100 a month, that's $1,800. So you owe me $1,800 in the future. If you added up all those for your whole gym, you have a number called your base receivables. So say for ease sake, that's $200,000, and your monthly expenses is roughly $40,000. So that's 200 divided by 40 comes out to be 5, right? If you have that ratio of 5 or greater, then you have a fairly stable business. And there's a lot more that plays into it, but that's one of the factors that we look at every single month to see if we have some amount of stability in the business. Do people owe us enough money in the future where we can make decisions now that are going to cost us more money, but are we going to be able to afford those decisions in the months
The idea is
coming?
you got to keep that comfortable buffer, and you have confidence that your current decision will yield some success if that buffer is wide enough.
Yeah, and every month
Yeah.
we were looking at a spreadsheet and looking at a graph, and we could say, hey, we're not breaking that 20%, that 5 to 1 ratio. We haven't reached stability yet, because when we first implemented contracts, if you don't have contracts, you don't have base receivables, which means that your stability is 0.
You might as well just call yourself an asshole.
Possibly.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to hire another employee, you're going to say, I'm going to hire another employee. It's going to cost me $2,500
Right.
Next month. And then you can compare that new expense that's going to be recurring every month against the base receivables that you currently have. And you can see, I don't know, is this going to be too much money? Should we do it yet? Should we do a part-time person? And it just helps you make that decision.
And I remember breaking past that. Doug put together the spreadsheet, and there was like a red line. And that was if once we got past that red line, that was our
Color coded for Chris.
that for me.
Dude, no, I use that. I use that in my data analyses. I put a line, and when it exceeds that, it's either a good or a bad thing. And even advanced analysts like to see just a simple, like, if you get to here, then this happens.
I remember breaking that threshold, and it was like this huge sigh of relief. It's like, oh my God, we did it. Now we do better than that now.
We
like
haven't been below like 7 in a long time.
Yeah, but and that's actually one marker of success for us. It isn't just how much money did we make and how much money did we spend this month, because it's more than just that.
These kind of tools are cool, man, because like it's a tool that allows you to take some of your fate out of the hands of like the whims of markets. Like
Right.
Everything stirring around your business cannot be controlled, but you have the ability to limit these risks just by doing some simple things that make sense. Like if you know that ratio is a certain level, bigger the better, then if you make a decision, you see how that manipulates the risk, and you can keep yourself in a favorable position. You're not just like leaving it to chance whether your dream is going to make it or not.
Yeah. I remember Doug, the way he convinced me to do the contracts. And if you have a business partner, you want to do contracts and they don't, this is a good argument. And what he told me was, we can try the contracts, and let's try it for 90 days, and then if our sales are down or if things aren't going well, then we'll just ditch them. Like we'll just try it. We should try everything. And I was like, well, I think you're right. We should just try everything. So he convinced me by saying, hey, we'll just try it it's a trial. It's not something that we're having to do no matter what for the rest of our lives. But what was interesting is the very first time we signed a contract and we had base receivables, it felt really good. I was like, I didn't know that I was stressed out about worrying about the next month until that was done. I go, oh, I was stressed out and I didn't even know it about having to worry about, who's going to pay next month type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
now I know how to convince you of anything, though, by the way. So, you haven't tried it. How do you know you won't like it? You're right, Chris.
Try it. You might like it.
Well, that's how I live my life now. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the business tools specifically that we use and that you can use also in your business.
Tools. Jason Khalifa, CrossFit Games champion. Jason Khalifa, ladies and gentlemen, the 2008 CrossFit Games champion.
Hey guys, Mike Bledsoe here with Technique Wad again. We're going to go over hang snatches. If you saw the previous video where we were doing snatches off the blocks, the snatches off the blocks are much more technique and position oriented, whereas a hang snatch is more of a building strength and positions. I like the hang snatch because you're really working on your second and third pull. If you don't have good mobility and you have a poor first pull or you have a poor transition from a first to a second pull, you can still train your second and third pull without having to worry about the setup. Now, in one of our other Technique Wad videos, we did go over stop snatches, and that is where you would stop on the way up, you would pause, and then finish. So that would be a stop snatch or a pausing snatch. And what differs with a hang snatch versus a stop snatch or a pause snatch is that you're going to deadlift the bar up. You still want to practice having similar technique, because you don't want to pick up a bar and never practice. You don't want to practice bad reps. So I'm still going to pick it up as if we're going to snatch it. I'm going to do a snatch deadlift. I get the top, and I go back down, and I reset. So I'm going to go down to a mid-thigh, and when I go down, I'm going to attempt to get in the same exact position I would normally be in as if I were coming off the floor. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to set up, my back is nice and tight, shoulders pulled back, I'm engaging my lats to keep that bar in close, and from here, jump and get underneath, okay? So, a lot of people can do a good bit of weight here, so it's good at building strength in your Olympic lifts. Also note that I didn't go from here straight overhead. The bar actually came up and met my hips. So it's not a yank straight from mid-thigh. I'm actually squeezing it. I'm squeezing it from here to here. And then when I get in that power position, I really kick it in gear there. Hang snatch.
Are you gonna say anything about the podcast?
Welcome back. I am. Welcome back to Barbell Shrugged, Business Edition. Dun, dun, dun.
Are we recording?
We are recording.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100%. Don't worry about it, Chris. Are you?
I see the numbers moving.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anyways,
I trust you, CEO. I believe in your vision.
I know enough about everything to screw it up. That's about it. Now, so real quick, I'm actually gonna be doing a live webinar on the topic of opening up a gym, or if you already own a gym and you want to learn how to maybe pull out some pearls and nuggets on how you can improve your operations. I'm going to be doing a webinar in the near future. We don't have it scheduled yet. We just know that we want to do it, and I have most of the presentation completed. But if you want to be notified of that, make sure to go to barbellshrugged.com and sign up for the newsletter, so that when we do schedule it, we'll email you about it and you'll be able to register for that. It's going to be free, and it's only going to be limited to the first 100 people. We did a webinar a few weeks back on nutrition for weightlifters, and it was maxed out the whole time, so you're going to have to get in there early.
So we had 330 people register for it.
Yeah, 330 people
Only 100
registered for
people
a
can make it.
100-person webinar.
Oh, it's so sad.
It is sad.
Do you need
But-
more money for more people?
Because you're not getting it.
No.
He's like, yeah, we don't have any, but I just
Well,
wanted to
I actually like the 100-person because it keeps it more intimate. If we end up letting too many people in,
Intimate.
we get bombarded with a lot of questions, and we don't get to give everybody the attention they deserve. I know on this last webinar, when I did it, I completed it, and I was actually able to answer every single question afterwards. I think if there had been any more people, it would have been like question fest. It would have been, the questions would have gone on way too long. This way, I was able to interact with everybody. It was really good.
You added value to the situation.
That's the goal. Yeah. The other thing I want to promote real quick is we have just decided
Just now?
during the
During the
break
break.
during the break we decided to launch a new podcast.
Oh, shit.
speed of implementation.
Yeah.
You'll learn about that in the webinar. No, but it'll be Barbell. What are we doing? What are we calling it?
You call it-
Barbellbusiness.com. I just bought the domain, so we'll be
Barbell, you want to call it like Barbell Biz? Something that's, is that cheesy?
Barbellbusiness.com. Simple. It tells you exactly what it is. There's no questions about what it's about. It's about gym businesses, obviously, right?
Obviously.
Yeah, there you go. Try to be as obvious as possible.
The empire-
Marketing lesson number 1.
Be as obvious as possible. Let the
Chris is
customer
learning.
know. Let the customer know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So Doug was wanting to touch on something when we came back. I forget what it was exactly.
You never listen to me.
I listen, I just forget easy.
During the break, we were talking a little bit about systems and kind of what your role should be as the business owner as the business grows.
Yeah,
So
I remember now.
initially, most people, they start CrossFit Gym and they coach all the classes, they do all the marketing, they do all the social media stuff, they do all the accounting and finance, they take care of the money, and they try to do everything by themselves, and it's super overwhelming, especially because most of your clients are going to show up, for like your 5 a.m. and your 6 a.m. classes, and then again for your 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 7 o'clock p.m. classes. So you're pretty much working all day long, and eventually you get burnt out and exhausted. So what we're going to touch on was what your role should be, going in. Once you have an employee or two, hire some coaches, eventually step away at least a little bit where you can be the coach's coach, and you can help replicate yourself, and then you don't have to coach every single class, and you can actually have time to grow the business instead of just simply working in the business the entire time.
Was it hard for you to start delegating?
No.
You didn't feel that was hard for you?
No, I never want to do anything. So I like to give it away. Some people want to do everything themselves, and I'm totally not like that at all.
Right.
Every time I do something, I think, why the hell am I doing this? I want to give it away to somebody else. So.
That's my first thought now. I remember, was it yesterday, we were doing the Faction 4, which is a team competition we hosted at Faction Strength Conditioning. Ashley did a fantastic job of running that.
Yeah.
But
Your wife.
guess what? It was at a gym that we own, but I really didn't have a role at the competition.
Mm-hmm.
And someone goes, someone who was helping judge was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just making sure nothing goes wrong. Like I'm backup.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm responsible for something, then I messed up as, a business owner.
Yeah.
Like I own this thing. If I'm responsible for any single thing that's going on at this event, I messed up. Because what will happen is if I'm responsible for something and then there's this emergency and I have to go take care of it, guess what? Now I have to get someone else to take care of what I was taking care of, which I was the expert of. No, but what I need to be doing is, making sure there's somebody who is responsible for each thing and they're the expert of that thing. And if for some reason they fall out, then I can come in and help out or whatever. So, you want to make sure that everyone has a role but yourself, and you're there to jump in, if need be.
Let people do what they're really good at and what they excel at.
Yeah.
You're not that guy. You can't do that as good.
Yeah.
You're overseeing and managing everything, more or less.
Well, really, you're just standing around with a smirk on your face the whole time.
That's the way it appears.
Is
It-
it?
I can
it-
see how you could think that.
it
I
appears-
I drink beer and I talk to people in
It
the crowd.
appears that I'm drinking coffee and whiskey most of the time.
What I'm
and
doing
just hanging
is
out with people, but I'm taking care of
market
important
research.
business stuff.
Exactly. No, I don't doubt you at all. I never doubt you.
But yeah, I actually had a hard time delegating in the beginning,
Right.
just because, not because I wanted to do it, but just because I was afraid that someone else wasn't going to do it as well as I wanted it done.
Right.
And I still struggle with that.
Yeah, that's something that's hard to get over. Like if you're really passionate about something and you feel like you could do it really well, like delegating to somebody, guaranteed they're not going to do it just as well as you do.
Or the way you wanted it. They may be doing it. They may do a good job or better than you, but
Sure.
it's just not the way you wanted it done.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah, as long as they can do it 80 or 90% as good as you would do it, or the way that you wanted them to do it, that's pretty much good enough. All that little stuff, most people aren't going to see from their perspective.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it because you know how you wanted it done, but most of the clients and the rest of the staff and anyone who's not you is not going to see or care about. So forget about that little stuff and just kind of move on and go take care of something more
This is
important.
interesting because this is speaking right to me as a guy who is launching a thing that's 100% done from start to finish by me alone.
Yeah,
This
Chris,
is a particular challenge.
Chris just launched barbellbuddha.com in the last couple weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
he's had some epiphanies about, maybe some business stuff, and I've been helping advise him a little bit.
It makes my chode tingle just thinking about it.
Actually, that's become one of my passions is helping out new business owners. So I really, really enjoy handing out advice and seeing people grow and do new things. That's very rewarding for me.
So what faction is and what
Barbellbusiness.com.
always plug everything all the time. That's my business cue to you. But in my situation, what makes me this different than Fitter is a Fitter's organization. There's people involved. We've gone over that and faction being the same. But in this case, this thing lives in my fevered, fizzy mind that I conceptualize something. I put it down on paper. It got created. And then I also had to be the guy who designed the cover to this book that I dreamed up. And then I was like, oh, shit, how do I edit it? Okay, I'll do a good job of that. Try my best. Then how do I get something onto Amazon? How do I get something spread? Like, it's an interesting experiment to start just on your own on an island with only your thoughts in your head. It's a curious way to move through it. When I hear an experience like that, okay, what could I got to look for opportunities that to have help in this if I'm going to make it, like, at least a little bit of help to take off some of the things, like, when it comes to like figuring out how to do an audiobook. Well, I said, well, Chris, just sit down and record the thing yourself and learn how to act out an audiobook. Okay, Chris. But at some point, there's a breaking point where you can't be the guy that does all the lifting. You can't be the guy who deserves the cover or designs the cover, puts it on Amazon. Like, all this stuff is to figure out how to do each step is a lost opportunity to do something else. Like, I got to sit down for an afternoon and figure out how to make the shop work.
He's a quick learner.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you got to come to terms with. So there's coming about, like, what will be yours and what will you selfishly hold? For me, it's more intense because I'm the guy who wants to create all that stuff. But what can I let somebody else take from me?
Yeah, and then there's
it's way harder than you think.
You could swing too far the other way, and I don't know what you could call it, but
Over delegation,
or having black boxes in your business.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it referred to as having black boxes.
Oh,
in
so
your
where
business.
you give over so much that you no longer understand what's going on.
Right,
There's
well-
too much distance.
Well, yeah, you don't understand how it works. So, I mean, I struggle with that a little bit myself. There's some things that, like, if someone were to disappear, it'd be like an oh shit moment, But there's enough overlap, and it may not be me that knows how to do it, but there's another person in the business that knows how to do it. So, but it's tough. I mean, the bigger your organization
So
gets,
say you
the
gotta
more opportunity there is to have that black box thing. That thing you don't understand how it works, and if you lose an employee, then it's gone. But there's a way to mitigate that risk.
Yeah, you can't have too many degrees of separation between you and the moving components. Like, some distance is great because it allows people to blossom and do what they do and have some ownership over a component and feel good about what they're contributing to the machine. But if you're too far back from it where you don't understand it, then it's injecting a little bit too much risk.
Right.
You're
But there's-
losing control over the known variables.
But another way to mitigate that is
Staff training.
Shit, I didn't know you were going to call me out.
Staff training.
Steroids?
systems.
Yes,
System. I was thinking of the
systems
S word.
and actually, I like where you're going, like systems and staff training for sure. So, right now, just to give you a touch on how we kind of handle staff training, we have a meeting every day. Every day, we at least get the entire team together, the morning crew and the evening crew at Faction, and we all talk about what we're going to do that day. We usually just touch real quick on what our biggest priority is for the day, just to kind of bring everyone together. Monday and Wednesday, we meet in person. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we meet just over the phone on a conference call. And that usually takes like 10 or 15 minutes. Everyone just reconnects. We call that like a team huddle, and just puts everyone on the same page, lets them know where the business is at. And
it brings some transparency. Everybody knows what everybody has to do, and everybody knows what the other person's doing. So you want to deliver on what you said you do. It's a good time. Right?
Yeah, you said yesterday I'm going to finish this thing, and then the
Did
next
you?
day someone says, "Hey, where's that thing?" And you go, "Oh, I didn't do it." And then society, so to speak. You get some peer pressure on you to actually perform and do what you say you were going to do. But on Monday and Wednesday, we have staff training. So we have our quick meeting, and then usually me or Mike will do some type of staff training, whether if we're making a product for Barbell Shrugged, usually we'll do kind of like our rough draft presentation of what we're going to cover in the product, and then our staff can learn from that and give us some feedback so we can update and tweak and refine before we launch it to the rest of the world. Or if we're reading a book, like right now I'm reading Supple Leopard, or before we had bought, to mention K-Star again, we had bought his online Creative Live. Basically, it's his movement and mobility course that he made a digital information product out of with creativelive.com. And we use things like that, say, hey, watch this video. On Monday, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go over the things in that video. So we always provide some type of video for people to watch. Yeah, and then we go over it as a group.
And it's expected. I mean, and we have a culture in our business where it's expected that you continue your education. If somebody isn't looking to improve something, people would just think you were weird.
You know what you reminded me of Chris Rock when you said this. Let me do what Chris does best and make wide jumps in association that brings insight. So, Chris Rock in one of his funnier gigs was like talking about in culture, like if you graduate high school and people are like, congratulations. Like, no, like graduating high school, taking care of your kids, this is shit you are supposed to do. So it's interesting, like in a business, people will want like special attention for wanting to learn and get better. No, that's like the threshold you must break to be a part of this group, is that every day you desperately want to get smarter at what you're doing and better at what you're doing. Like, we don't reward you, say, good job for wanting to learn every day. No, motherfucker, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to fight every day to get better at the things you do. That's what we expect.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not killing it on that, then we just think you're an asshole.
Yeah.
We're not giving you rewards for that.
All the athletes at our gym that have gotten very good very quickly, they do a lot of studying outside of the gym. They don't just come work out, go home and forget about it, and then come back the next day and then pick up where they left off. They go home and they're watching YouTube videos, and they're reading books that we recommend, and they're watching our products, and they're watching the show, and they're watching other podcasts that are relevant. They're doing something all the time. They have their headphones on, and when they're driving around, they're listening to nutrition audiobooks, and they're constantly putting that information into their head. And same with the entrepreneurs that we know. They're constantly reading business books and going to seminars and meeting other entrepreneurs and having lunch and talking business. And they're constantly trying to learn, improve, and grow. They realize there's so much information out there that they'll never get to, but they're always trying to.
That's the attitude I think is so critical for people to understand. Like, that's how you get good at training. That's how you get good at training people. That's how business must run. That's how you get really smart. That's how you become good at anything, is that you have – it's not like it's hard to do, because you're drilling in – the energy comes from you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's like I wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago about going to where the energy is. If you're doing something that's what you should be doing, the energy will come to you, and you'll feel compelled to put this amount back into it. If you're trying to force every step of the way, it could be a very obvious sign that if the energy's not coming back to you, you're on the wrong path. But if you feel there's, man, I gotta rock this business idea, I gotta keep doing this, then you'll do what it takes. That every 5 minutes, looking for some cool thing, you go every situation looking for the nugget within that situation that could allow you to do the next great thing. That's the attitude it takes as like an entry level thing to get good at it.
Yeah, and we have a pretty liberal budget also on the continuing education side of things. So there's a lot of things that stay pretty tight, but like we know that we're going to spend $300 a month on books. Like that's going to happen.
And trust is going to pay off.
So when someone orders a book, it's not like, what the hell? It's like, oh, good job. Can I get a copy, or can I borrow that when you're done?
Yeah.
It's not like the continuing education is not the first thing we're looking at. If we need to save some money, it's
not like you're going out to eat every day for lunch. That's something that's not bringing like if you make the investment to get everybody this certain book, then the amount of benefit that could bring back to you is you can't really get a number around what that's worth.
Yeah, Rob could probably tell us what that number is, but we're probably in the tens of thousands.
Yeah,
total each year, and continuing education between seminars, conferences, books.
So, and then another thing,
Doug,
if you're so liberal with that, then you should take me to your next highfalutin marketing guru business conference in Chicago.
You have a business, right?
Yeah. You're
let me launch the store. I gotta get that store up.
I mean, you're an author and a business owner. You must be just rolling in the dough.
I'm so rich in terms of emotional money, internet money. I've got all the internet money in the world. You see? Give me some of that money.
Here we were talking about resources and telling people to go get educated and always be working on their continuing education, but what about some specific examples? I mentioned Supple Leopard. I mentioned K-Star's Creative Live thing, which were both very good. If you haven't read those or seen those, go find those. But what have you read or listened to lately that you thought was very good? That you could share?
Everything that's in the Barbell Shrugged shop is pretty much taught me
It's all
everything I
really
needed
good.
to know about.
Upselling.
Oh shit!
There you
go. Actually, right now, I'm actually doing some continuing education and training on my own with Gymnastic Bodies product. So I bought their Foundation 1. I'm kind of like rebuilding my gymnastic skills. I decided to go like go back to the basics, which if you're in CrossFit, you probably never did gymnastics basics. If you think a pull-up is the basics, then you're wrong. You know, there's a much deeper progression and building up good movement. You know.
Did anyone else just notice CTP is not in the room anymore?
Yeah, he left.
His battery
we have
ran out.
his battery ran out.
Now we can let our bellies come out. We can just relax. So you're suggesting that
this past year, well, I did that, and then
you
I
had a
also
high
did-
level understanding of gymnastics. Now you're
Yeah,
going deep.
taking it to the next level on something that's within CrossFit. And another thing I've done this year, I went to the OPT live coaching. That was really good for me. I think it would be good for anybody. He offers a lot of good courses. I know Doug and I are talking about going and doing some more stuff with OPT and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Can't go wrong
Budget.
doing.
We're over budget.
We're over budget.
We're
this
over
month.
budget.
Okay.
I just
We'll
said we're
figure something
liberal
out.
on that.
Right. Yeah, everything James does is really good. So you can't go wrong going to any OPT's
Right.
certifications or courses.
Another
He's
thing,
back.
Another thing I'm wanting to do this year is one of my like training goals is to get my USAW level 2 coach certification
For weightlifting.
for weightlifting. Yep. Yeah, stuff like that. What are you doing for continuing education, Rob?
I just listened to a book, Spin Selling.
Spin selling by
How's it
Neil
going?
Rackham.
Is that who it is? I was going to ask Chris because
Yeah.
he told me about it.
Yeah,
So-
spin selling's really good.
I crushed it driving back from Florida.
Crushed it.
Just like, oh my God, this is the greatest book ever.
Yeah.
You really liked it?
Yeah. I
read
wanna
that
listen
book,
to it again.
I read that book and I was like, I didn't like it at all.
You already know everything though.
Yeah.
Did you read that book or did you let it play in the car while you listened to it? 'Cause that shit is not called reading
the
a book.
latter.
I listened to
Mike
it.
doesn't like systems and step-by-step processes. So
don't.
That's true.
system or spin selling is a sales system where you walk somebody through like what their situation is and what kind of problems they're having right now, and then you basically just tie the things that you have to offer with what they actually need. It's a professional way to do sales where you're actually helping somebody by finding out first exactly what they actually need rather than just pushing whatever you already have on them without even considering what they really need. So if you want to be a professional salesperson and give somebody real value that they actually need,
Which,
It's
if
a win-win.
If you're a business owner, you are a salesperson.
Right.
yeah, that's the whole paradigm
bit.
shift for a lot of people too. But
If you're not, you'll go out of business.
it's probably one of the most referenced sales books of all time, and it's very, very good. Some people don't like it, but a lot of people really, really do. So
Thank you, Chris.
it's a good sales book if you want to learn something about sales.
Yeah,
you know,
the point I was making is not everything's going to work for everybody. So if you take one of our suggestions and you're like, "Ugh, that was stupid, well, you probably listen to Rob. But no, I'm just kidding.
I told you so. I told you so.
Any
Right.
other nuggets over there, Rob?
I don't know. QuickBooks, Intuit, they do a lot of. Y'all probably don't know this that I do, but like they do little webinars too.
Oh,
And
yeah?
I'll watch
I didn't
how to
know.
learn learn their programming software because they're continually updating. So I'm continually updating.
A lot
with
of
them.
companies like that
Yeah.
also have really
Yeah.
great, short, educational. Like the Shopify site has all these great YouTube videos on YouTube
Yeah,
pages. Like, how do you do each component of this?
right.
I'm gonna tell you
Little screencast
simply,
videos.
unpretentiously, how you do this. Here's where you go. Here's the understanding, and I have like a free e-commerce entrepreneur learning center where you can go in there and just soak everything up. And there's so much resource now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't even need to pay for a book. Sometimes these resources are just throwing value at you. These extra things like compelling you. Just learn all you can about it. We're sharing our expertise with you. It's fantastic.
Actually, that's a good point for a lot of the gym owners out there that don't do monthly financial statements. Like having Intuit online where we can all access our financial statements at any given time is fantastic. You update it, and then we all have access to it immediately. So we can look at our profit loss and our balance sheets
Yeah.
and our statement of cash flows. And
And
then
then
you
Bledsoe's
give
like-
us a quick screencast video. Go to jing.com, JING.com. You can get super simple screencast software where you can just record a 5-minute video of your screen. That way you can walk us through something and then just send us the video over email, and we can look and see exactly where the company's at financially every single month.
Right. So I like to see
Or
Bledsoe go, look at all these
sometimes once a
shiny
week.
numbers and these pretty colors on this report. This makes me feel good. That's your CEO role.
Actually, yeah, I think one of the books that helped me understand some of the sheets and pages and
What do you like, bar
numbers and
graphs?
the
paper and
numbers.
stuff.
bar graphs.
Yeah. I'm really good with pictures, but actually read some of the Rich Dad Poor Dad stuff, and he has some really, really simple break it down for the common man, like how to look at profit loss and balance sheets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty helpful for me in the beginning because I remember taking an accounting class in college
terrible.
and just being like, they don't explain anything. They're like, all right, debits, credits. This belongs over here. They never tell you why.
Right.
Like they just
Bledsoe's
like
debit is that's not when you owe money, right?
it's like you go from my experience with accounting classes, I went in and it was like if this then that, if this then that, if this then that, and I was like, why
Yeah.
are we doing any of this?
But you know the
Yeah.
good part of this is that one of the guys I go to for business advice, and I'll probably do a lot more of this searching in this realm now that I'm actually officially a business person. But I've always thought Richard Branson's books were so beautifully communicated. Like everything he's done, you can tell he's a very genuine, warm-hearted guy. And every time you see him, he's so captivating. But he openly admits that he's a little bit dyslexic, and when somebody tries to explain to him, like his financial guys, what's going on with the business and just definitions like revenue and income, expense, he can't hold on to that kind of thing. 'Cause it's not how his brain works. He's a visionary, but the mechanics of the business is not what he really grasps. He knows what people want. He's a brilliant man, obviously, but it's
He's not very
nice to know that if
detail-oriented.
it doesn't come to you naturally, get the resources and the people who will help you understand in a way that makes sense to you. Because he has, like he says, his chief financial guy would just doodle a certain thing on the back of a napkin, like, okay, here's how this works. Here's a picture of what I'm trying to explain. He goes, oh yeah, brilliant. But whatever it is, it doesn't matter that it's super simplistic and childlike, because you don't need anything complex and heavily analytical in order to help you see what you need to understand to run your business better.
I think
It's not
a guy
necessary.
like that knows how to make money, but like managing the money is pretty tough for him. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat.
And a guy that genius.
I have ideas on how to make money, but
and it's
you know,
okay.
you start giving me too much, information, and I'm just.
It's okay that you have these glaring
Big
weaknesses.
picture stuff.
That's a big point I like people to listen to because people feel like when I recognize my weaknesses and I feel it's not always pleasant to address them, but it's okay to say that I'm not good at that and I don't understand that. You're not wrong for addressing if a guy like Richard Branson, who owns his own posh $500 billion house on an island he owns, like a guy that important, a guy who's that pivotal and can change the whole world forever in what he's done, has glaring weaknesses, and it's okay. It's not a problem.
I was reading a book called Business Brilliant, and they were talking about Branson, and that's one of the reasons that he is so successful, because he does have a lot of problems, like almost like a learning disability, where he has trouble doing a lot of things, and so his whole life he had to find a way to get other people to do things for him because he can't do it himself, and he got so good at that now that's a great business skill to have. In school, they teach you do this, you don't ask anyone what the answer is, and you have to do it by yourself. And if you ask other people, that's wrong, and you get a bad grade, and you get kicked out. But in the business world, you just need to find someone that does it really, really well, give them money, and they'll do it for you.
Make them feel
the
great
total
about doing it.
opposite. And that's
Yeah.
the fastest way to get something done. And it doesn't matter if you do it yourself. If your car breaks down, you take the mechanic, you say, I don't know, I don't care, here's money, fix it, give it back to me when it's better.
Let me share with you a cool thing, Doug. You just connected with me emotionally. Sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we can. But I was reading it's going into the new talk and a new book product, but one of the guys I'm looking to for inspiration is Akiyu Sunju, like an ancient, he's been dead for like 600 years, but he was a Zen master in Japan who loved Zen Buddhism, women, and sake. He would study Zen Buddhism and master it and write these poems.
I like two of those things.
Yeah, he loved. He was a womanizer, not a womanizer in terms of being, but he loved the presence of women, and he wanted to explore all that. And he drank with the best of them, and he hung out with the fishermen, and he saw the beauty in all the details. One story he says, like, there are many paths up the mountain. Like, there's many different ways you can get to the top, but once we're all there, we all look at the same moon. It's like you're taught in school, like there's one way to get to a certain place, and you feel desperate because you feel like another path is right for you, but you're scared that won't be a successful path. When reality is whatever is the most important thing to you at the moment, and as long as your attitude and how you take that path is appropriate, you will get to where you need to go. Like, don't be afraid of taking a different path, even though a teacher told you couldn't succeed in that path. Like, there's multiple ways to get to the top. You got to do what you think is best, and you got to have the attitude like we're all talking about, where you're never going to stop learning. You're going to stay open to new ideas, and you will get to the top, and you'll stare at the same moon that the other guy's looking at that took a different path.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get so hung up on the path. There isn't that one way to do something.
You got to stick to your strengths. Like for you to be like the CrossFit Memphis or Faction Strength Conditioning running coach, you could probably get it done and teach people how to run.
You call me fat?
We could find someone who has a lot of experience running. And you could teach powerlifting. That's your strength. And they could teach running and let everyone do what they're already best at instead of taking a couple of years to be only moderately good at something that just isn't your skill.
Mm-hmm.
You checked out again. You checked out on a couple of podcasts lately.
I was thinking deep in thought.
Well, I know you weren't just being silent.
That's one of your skills. That's what I was just talking about.
You're a good
thinker.
You were touching your beard with like one inquisitive finger, like, yes. That's not a.
He was staring at Rob while he was doing it, though.
So you want to have sex with Rob, or you had a good idea? I wonder.
I thought that was a good idea.
Well, I told you. I told you didn't know if you'd like it till you try it. So maybe that's what you were thinking about. Like, how do I know I'm not gay? I mean, how do I really know? I haven't really tried being
if
gay.
you haven't tried it, you won't know.
So Alan Cosgrove, who runs Results Fitness out in California, he says that you should always balance your fitness and your business learning. So for every business book, you got to read, or excuse me, for every business book you can read a fitness book, but you can't just focus on fitness. You have to have one-to-one, because now that you're not just a fitness coach or a passionate CrossFit person and you're a business owner, you got to have more business skills. So constantly reading a book a week is the standard that he proposes.
Yeah, I've run into like especially some weightlifting coaches that are just brilliant weightlifting coaches, and they're in some little tiny hole.
Yeah,
and they're not young. They didn't just get started. They've been doing this for a long time, and they're coaching 5 athletes. And those 5 athletes are really good. They're good weightlifting coaches, but they could coach so many more people if they just understood business better. And they want
really
to. When you talk to them, they're going, man, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why I can't get more athletes in here. I'm like, well, you got 4 platforms, and and 800 square feet, and and there's a lot of things going on here. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, that's why. I easily recognize the problem that's going on, but they could reach more people. So, having more business sense isn't about just improving your life as a business owner, but like, I know that the more success that we have, the more people we're going to be able to reach and touch and improve their lives.
Those 2 points stick out to me because, one, like, identify what you just said, because, like, okay, if I can write something and honor my overwhelming yellow energy, which is to create, and that reaches 10 people, then that makes...
What's yellow energy?
Yellow energy is a creative energy, like a creative, educational... Like, I want to create things to spill out, and people say, I really liked what you created, then it lights my world on fire. It's a very good thing. But if I don't devote time to figure out ways to make that more accessible to more people who could like it, then I'm failing. Like, I don't compromise my creative spirit in order to think of ways to share it with more people. So that's an honest way to approach marketing education. And what Doug just said really speaks to me, because I recognize that my strength is in going out and finding all these cool books and niche stories and odd ideas that when I look and see them, like when I hear something over here and over here on a podcast, over here in a book, I can see a web form between them, and all of a sudden I see a story I could tell that makes people really understand a certain thing. But I now recognize how important it is that it's balanced with learning how to get the skills that allows me to share that knowledge with more people. And if I let that balance stay all towards the creative web building ideas, and I don't learn how to, like, I don't give up anything by achieving that balance. I can allow this stuff to bloom more with that knowledge. I'm not sacrificing what I could develop here to get business knowledge. Mm-hmm. This becomes more because I keep the balance. Yeah, that stuck out to me a lot.
I do think they're complementary.
Yeah.
You got to have a balance between the two. If you only have one, then it's either, like I said earlier with the creative and the organizer, it's either going to be really, really cool and no one's going to hear about it, or everyone's going to hear about it, but it's not going to be that cool.
It's like with you. If you took more time to learn about something that would set Bledsoe off, you're not always necessarily letting your skills suffer because of that. You'll be better at what you do because you have that insight. Like, it's not a zero-sum thing where because you traded one thing, you can't have the other. No, in this case, this new knowledge can enhance what you already had. Like, you're not giving up on something because you chase something new.
Another thing, too, is having a teammate that fulfills, that complements you, allows you to go even further into what you're good at. So, and that's very, very nice. That's very freeing. I don't have to do a bunch of stuff I don't like doing, so I can spend more time on things I enjoy, and that's more fulfilling I do want to wrap this up. First, there was one book that I wanted to mention. If you're even considering starting a new business.
Oh, no.
Sorry. If you're even considering opening a new business, I think this is the most important book to start off with. It's called Business Model Generation. And basically, it allows you to be creative and understanding how you're going to make money, what exactly your services that you're going to be offering people, and stuff like that. Like, that's something that I discovered way after I had already started a business or two, and I wish that if I had discovered that book on the front end, I think a lot of things would have run smoother right off the bat, and I would have understood what I was doing, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it helps you develop a big picture. I really like that. Doug, what do you got to plug?
Since you gave a resource, I'll give a resource as well. I kind of briefly mentioned him earlier, but his name is Thomas Plummer, and he writes a lot of books for the fitness business industry, kind of more in the big box arena, and he's slowly kind of moving into the more small gym, group class, CrossFit arena. But he's given us a lot of advice, one-to-one, where we've gone to some of his seminars and workshops, and then also we've read all of his books, and those are very good too. So if you want a place to get started for learning business stuff specifically for the fitness industry, Thomas Plummer is a great person to research and to start on some easy-to-read books. Also, we mentioned the Faction Fundamentals Blueprint will be coming out here in a couple weeks, so I won't go into a big plug on that since we talked about it earlier, but keep your eye out for that. Should be coming out here hopefully in a couple weeks. Rob, what do you got?
Into it. If you're going to do any of the finance side or keeping your business afloat, they're the best. You can't go wrong. Chris could do it. Anybody could do it.
I'm the idiot example.
It is.
The village
Couldn't do
idiot
it.
right to
Couldn't
my
do it
left.
without it. I don't know how we ever made it without it.
Yeah.
I can't say any. Can't say anything.
I won't
bad.
be able to plug anything. I'm
Okay.
too hurt.
All right, Chris.
Well, go to Amazon or iTunes. Check out Progress. I think you'll really like that book. And I'm writing another one now, but I'm keeping that close to the chest until it emerges as more of a thing that's plug-worthy later on. Until that moment, stay tuned to.
He doesn't know what it's about yet.
No, I'm 4,000 words into that bad boy. But yeah, go to barbellbudo.com. I hope to launch the cool store, which I'll offer some new versions of Progress. The new book will appear on there, and I'm also going to offer some new products that'll be very cool and very beneficial to all. You'll change your life forever. You'll go, how did I even exist before this store existed? How could I even consider the life I was formerly living? That's the kind of response you'll get from this service.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to go to barbellshrugged.com and sign up for the newsletter so that we can notify you when I'm going to hold that webinar on running a gym. And then also look out for Barbell Business. Check out barbellbusiness.com. I have no idea what's going to be there, but something will be.
So you've got like 2 weeks to set up some sort of site.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
I'm going to speed of implementation it. That's what I'm good at. We'll have something
Wait
going.
till the last minute.
If you wait till the last minute, it'll only take a minute.
Whoa, you blew my mind with that.
That is not good business advice.
Barbell Business is going to be a blog spot shitty webpage with like a weird hand-drawn logo. You took a picture of it with your iPhone and uploaded it. Business, money signs, crayon fucking colors.
I have explosions and boobs there.
Prestige worldwide.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
I actually thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
There's
That
a lot of
saying's come in
information.
handy, man.
Huh?
That saying's come in handy a couple times.
Wait till the last minute.
You want to record your audio intro?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about having? Well,